very excited about talking about the season for you guys because, this is my first season. So I'm excited about sharing it with you guys. There's so much great talent to bring that we tried to make sure we got the best people available. And I think we got what do you think?
I think I need to get an apartment down the block because I'm looking at this schedule and I'm like, every night, I'm like, I can't miss that.
I know, that's the only thing about me still touring as a musician. There's a lot of shows that I would really like to experience myself. And then we have a new series that we're going to talk about too. But I want to start off with our first artist that we want to showcase. I was just telling Andy in the back, we used to make a joke, Marcus Miller and this guy and myself, we used to make a joke about we could never be in the same room together because if the place blew up, there would go all of the black film composers in LA. Because it was only the three of us, you know what I mean? And I've been a fan of his for a number of years. He doesn't like for me to say that because it proves that he's older than me. But we're talking about the great Stanley Clarke.
Yeah.
He's got a great guys in the band you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, he's got an amazing block of shows. Now, the one that I was looking at was this group N Forever, which is sort of a tribute, some of the music of Return to Forever and original stuff. And, I mean, for me, you have Stanley Clarke's name on the bill, and you're like, okay, that's a no-brainer. I've got to catch that. But then when you look at who is in this band, we've got Jahara Stampley, 22, 23-year-old pianist who won the Herbie Hancock piano competition
earlier this year, last year. But you've probably seen him all over the place because he made a lot of noise once he won that competition. Amazing musician.
And the drummer, Jeremiah Collier, young cat coming up, right? I mean, he's I believe the younger brother of Isaiah Collier, who's also on the program. So here's Stanley, bringing up the young cats, some of the most exciting young musicians. So to me, that just again speaks to, what a leader he is.
Let's watch the clip. You know what I love about looking at that clip? It's not often when, and you know this as a writer, that jazz musicians get a chance to bring something new to the table and people just readily accept it. Because everybody's saying, but what about this album, what about... And one of the things that you guys have always been great at is allowing musicians to be themselves. And I'm looking at this clip of him and I'm going, wow, look at him. You can see he's evolving as an artist, and I just want to thank you guys for allowing us to do that because you guys are very unique in that regard. But I thought that was a beautiful clip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for bringing that.
Well, we're going to bring whatever we can bring now. especially if we can afford it.
Well, Terence, tell us, this brings us up to this program, this new program you started. Let's talk about that.
Well, we're starting this program called Upswing, and it occurred to me, I was on tour in Europe, and I saw a bunch of young musicians who were touring, and man, it was sounding amazing. And when we thought about bringing them here, you know, it was a tough decision because we didn't know if they could fill this hall on their own. But yet they were too big and too well known to do JHL. Financially, that wouldn't have been feasible to them. And myself as an artist didn't want to go to them and ask them for favors to play JHL just to get them in the building. And the business has changed. Record companies are not what they used to be. When I first got in the business 2 weeks ago, you would put out an album and the record company would market it. You would hear it on the radio. It would be in the stores. You get product placement and all of that stuff. And people would start to know your name, and then I would allow you to travel and tour. Well, these guys don't have that anymore. And us as an arts organization, I feel we really need to support that mid-level talent, you know, because it's a struggle for them. So we started this program called Upswing. And the whole idea behind Upswing is to bring in, we're not bringing in, you know, new artists, like totally new. No, we're bringing in those mid-level artists who've already been touring, but have been struggling, trying to make a name for themselves. And they're great musicians, you know, trust me, all of them. We're not gonna put them on the series if they can't play. You know what I mean? That's just part of the thing. Sorry to say, I'm losing a bunch of friends. By the way, since I got this job, I got more friends now than I've ever had in my life. And stop giving my number out. Hey, bro, I want to holler at you. Well, who are you? That's what I've been trying to figure out. So I'm excited about this because we want to bring this level of talent to the Bay Area and introduce them to you. And you guys have already started responding, you know. So in a director's meeting that we had, TJ, our marketing guy, was really excited about the level of ticket sales already for Upswing, you know. So if you want to get on it, I'm just telling you, better jump on it now. Because some of y'all going to be hitting me up later on. Hey, bro, you got any tickets?
Right, so we're kicking this off with this fantastic double bill, right? So Keon Harold, I mean, who's not a kid, no. I think he's 40, 41, 42, around there. Right. He's been around, but has not, you know, first time here in the SFJAZZ, remarkable trumpeter. Remarkable trumpet player, man. I met him years ago in St. Louis, and, you know, good friend of mine, and I love what he's been doing with his music, and I think, you know, you guys will love it too. Yeah. And then Emmanuel Wilkins, an extraordinary young player, right? He's a freak of nature. Yeah. I mean, you know, I remember the first time I heard him play, he was sitting in with Joshua Redmond in New York, and literally, dude, you know, and you know, it's one of those things, you're having a meal while you're listening to the music, and I literally would stop like this. Like, am I really hearing what I'm hearing? Yeah. You know, because I didn't know who he was. Yeah. And when I found out who he was, I remembered that name and wanted to make sure that we brought him here. I think he's been here playing with somebody else, but man, this guy, he is phenomenal. I love his playing. Both of these guys, both guys. Do you want to watch the clip? Yeah, let's watch the clip. Okay, cool.
See what I'm talking about? You know, the great thing about him is that that's a show where he's doing a Miles Davis tribute, obviously, but you got to hear his music. And that's the cool thing about Upswing. You know, we're going to bring these guys here and allow them to do their thing. And hopefully you guys will really be great. Do we have a clip of Emmanuel? Why don't we play that too? You know, when I watch that, man, I feel so proud of all of these young musicians, you know, because they've chosen a life that's not easy, you know, being in the arts. And that's why we want to support them as much as we can, you know, because we think it's important, you know, for the growth of the music. Because the thing that I love about listening to them is that they're coming up with stuff that I wouldn't think of, right? Yeah. But it's beautiful, it's amazing, and it's inspiring, you know what I mean? And you know, just that little bit of a clip, he sounds mature beyond his years in that, and I think you guys would really love checking him out. All right, so the next person we got up here is a young woman that I just recently met in Philly, actually. Yeah, she was there doing a gig with another musician, and she was just phenomenal. And we're proud of her because she's one of she was a high school all-star here.
Yes.
Yeah. Your tax dollars at work.
Absolutely. She came out of Oakland School for the Arts. She is a hometown gal made good. That's
yes. You want to introduce her?
Yeah, Sasha Berliner.
There you go.
One of, she is part of a block of these amazing young vibraphonists. And we were talking about this, how she sort of represents just this incredible rising generation. So there's Sasha Berliner, another great local player, Kyle Athade, who came up in the East Bay, and then Simon Mollier,
yes,
brilliant player who played here with Terry Lynn Carrington. You may have seen her with Terry Lynn's multimedia production, Seen Unseen, which was beautiful, and he was featured prominently in that. So really...
you can't miss him. He's like 6'4". Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yes. So Sasha is really one of the leading voices on an instrument that has some spectacular proponents on it now. So,
and that's the thing that I'm always floored by. Not only that these young musicians are choosing to become jazz artists, but the instruments that they're choosing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you have to give them credit and props for sticking with that. You know what I mean? Because it has to be a daunting thing to look out here and say, well, how do I make a career, you know, in this business? And with all of that, they have developed their artistry to a level that's worth all of us really checking out. Yeah. Don't you think?
Absolutely. And I think the vibes, you know, if you're going to be a vibes player, you cannot wait for the phone to call. You can't wait for the phone to ring, right?
Yeah.
You're not a bass player. You're not like everyone's calling you up
Stop picking it up.
No, you've got to make things happen for yourself.
The line is still open.
And so that, I think there's this sort of Darwinian thing happens.
Yes.
They really, the amazing players kind of rise.
Well, but the thing that I love about it is that it speaks to the tradition of Bobby Hutcherson, Milt Jackson, and all of those guys. And, how these young musicians have been so impacted by those performances that they choose this life. And the thing that I'm always, when I was teaching, then I was told my students, I'm like, man, it's incumbent upon you like to do your homework and learn your craft. Like Art Blakey used to tell us all the time, you screwed up now, you may as well go on and do it. You decided to be a jazz musician, just come on in and just go ahead and do the work. Let's watch her, because I know I'd love to see her.
Yeah. Well, just to give SF Jazz the props is Bobby Hutcherson's legacy. I mean, as the founding member of the SF Jazz Collective, and then Stephon Harris, now Warren Wolf, has really kept, made sure the vibes is seen.
Yes.
So let's see. Do we have a clip of Sasha? Let's see that.
That's the gig I was at. That's kind of freaky. They didn't catch me on camera, though. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, so the next guy, man, I'm so excited about this dude because he's a dear friend of mine. And we worked together years ago. We did a film called Backbeat. And then he did an album, and on the album was Sheila E., Herbie Hancock, and myself, right? And that was a hell of an experience. And then he became president of Blue Note Records, right? Isn't that crazy? It's kind of like me taking this job. Yeah. Everybody's checking our mental state. But I think he's been phenomenal in the job at Blue Note. But the thing that I love about him, he's still a musician. And he just did a big tour with Bob Ware. I don't know if you knew about that. But we're talking about Don Was. And Don Was, I just saw this group in Detroit. He has a group that's called Don Was and the Pan Detroit. Is it ensemble or orchestra?
It's ensemble.
Ensemble, yeah. And it's packed with musicians that he's been knowing for years in Detroit. I think the keyboard player has been playing with him for like 30 or 40 years. Dave McMurray, the saxophonist, has been with him for just about the same amount of time. But all of the guys are Detroit musicians, and it's a really cool show that I really enjoyed when I saw him in Detroit. Then I got a chance to play with him just for a little bit too, What do you think?
I love what he's doing, and I think this is a moment when, Detroit's legacy as just such an important center of jazz has really been talked about a lot. This wonderful journalist, Mark Stryker, had a book, Jazz from Detroit, which really highlights that, and I think Don Was is making sure, people keep hearing about what's happening there.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it for me is that he's always been, he just loves music, That was the good thing about him taking over the job at Blue Note. I know it was a little controversial for a lot of people. People wonder why he got the job, but man, that dude is a big fan of all of these great artists, and he's done everything in his power to make sure that he can support them as much as he can. So that's why I wanted to have him here, so you guys could check this out. So let's watch a little clip of Don. This is them in the studio.
One thing I learned as a record producer and as president of Blue Note Records is that the thing that makes an artist different from everybody else is also their greatest strength. So when the opportunity came along to put together a new band for the first time in 15 years, the message was really clear to me. Go back to Detroit, where I come from. Be who I am, play like who I am, and team up with some like-minded individuals.
And they also have a great vocalist that tours with them, Tiffany. I can't think of Tiffany's last name, but she's amazing too. You know, it's a really great show. I think you guys will enjoy it.
So we're going to talk about another Upswing concert. This is a really interesting one because two fantastic leaders, not necessarily, you know, related in what they're doing, but have carved out brilliant careers so far. Tell me about John Coward and why you wanted to present him.
John Coward, man, I think is one of those unsung hero dudes. You know, he's been in Brian Blade's band Fellowship. You familiar with that group? Okay. He's been in that group for years, and he's also helped produce some albums with some other vocalists, you know, and he's a great musician with a great mind, great composer, and a great arranger. So when I heard that he was out touring was going to be touring with his own thing, I'm like, okay, we got to make sure we bring him, and give him a chance to play for you guys because I think he's a really unique dude.
He works with a lot of singer-songwriters.
Yes.
He's has a deep gospel feel. Really an amazing player. And when you say doing his own thing is with John Patitucci and Brian Blade. So that we're right there. Yes.
Yeah, some flunky, bringing these flunkies along. No, but you know, the thing that I think is cool about him, man, I remember he's a guy that's not afraid to try things. I remember seeing him doing a show where he had this little, kind of like a little organ, right? And it wasn't a real organ, but it had this weird little sound. And man, I'm watching that thing like, it looked like a toy, but he was doing it with the Fellowship, right? Yeah. And when they started to play, I was like, I gotta get one of those. You know, but that's the cool thing about him. You know, those guys investigate a lot of different avenues, and they're not afraid of it.
Absolutely. And then he's sharing, it's a double bill with the amazing Canadian trumpeter Ingrid Jensen, who you may have seen with the band Artemis. But she's a force in her own right. She's recorded her own albums.
Yeah. You know when the first time I met her?
When?
Here in San Francisco, a Randall Klein production. We were doing a Randall Klein put together, this was obviously before we had the building, but he was promoting these concerts, and we did a tribute to Woody Shaw. And it was Ingrid Jensen, myself, and some other trumpet players. And it was the first time I met her, and when I met her, I was like, what? And she's just been growing. Her and her sister. Her sister is an amazing musician as well. You know, so I'm happy to have both of those guys on the Upswing.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see a clip.
Yeah, let's watch them. Yeah, I like listening to music, dude. Isn't that something? You know what I'd like to do, man? Just make a collection of videos with Brian and turn the sound off.
Yeah.
Don't you just love watching him play?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he starts to scream, I'm like, oh my God, it's getting good to him. I remember him, it's one of those things where you feel, I get emotional thinking about it. I remember him when he was coming out of high school in New Orleans, and he used to play a lot with Nicholas Payton, you know, in New Orleans, man, and I would see these guys, and I'm like, man, and there was another drummer in that group called Adonis Rose, right, and I would see those guys, and I'm like, these dudes are something else. They're really serious, and they're really into it. And then when he got the gig with Wayne Shorter, I was like, just makes perfect sense. And then when I saw him do the fellowship thing, I said, see, this is the thing I love about these guys. They're serious about trying to find their voice, you know, and trying to create music that's enjoyable, you know. And I love just the name of the group, Fellowship,
Yeah.
you know.
It's such a beautiful band. And of course, Brian's also a singer-songwriter, plays guitar. I mean, he's extraordinary. And we should mention that Brian Blade, John Patitucci are also doing the
Wayne Shorter Legacy tribute. So that they'll be touring with Danilo and
Mark Turner.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be coming your way too.
Yes.
All of these different concerts. I feel like a salesman right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So okay. Yeah, that's what I'm here to do. Sell y'all some tickets. But I mean, you know, it's man, I mean, for music lovers, it's a serious smorgasbord of great talent that we have on deck. Let's watch Ingrid. She's phenomenal, you know, and I don't know, I saw her play like that while she was pregnant in New York. She was playing Dizzy's, you know, and I'm like, shouldn't you be at home? And she was like, no. She's amazing. I think she's phenomenal.
I just want to give a little shout out, Terence.
Sure.
So I'm sure you all have your program, the whole catalog of all the shows, and don't miss the back pages. Go take a look at what's happening at the Joe Henderson Lab, because these guys are there. There's one incredible show after another.
Yes.
And while this is an intimate space, I could look out and see all of you. You are on top of the music in that room. One of my favorite places to listen to music.
Yeah.
So don't.
We just had a great time in there during the gala.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
In there. Okay. So this next artist, I just think her music is gorgeous and beautiful and unique. I hope that I'm here to see this show live, because what she does is so incredibly moving in a way that I hope you guys enjoy it. Sona
Gilbert. Sona Gilbert. She has an amazing story, Terence, where she's griot from, families from Gambia, also from Mali. I mean, she comes, from a lineage of amazing musicians. Toumani Diabate is a cousin. So she plays kora, the traditional West African, 21-string harp, and she is the first woman. She is the first woman griot to get trained in the lineage as on kora.
Right. Yes.
She's, and the whole story of how she went about that is amazing. But she's opened a school in Gambia to make sure that girls have access to this music. And if you don't come from a traditional family, a griot family, you could still get trained in the traditional music. So she's a community leader, educator, and a spectacular musician.
Wow.
Kasi moma lanaya ngani ya sene ya uni kanda ya ningala yeso gulula ibanaya duniana ni banaya tatentuke mansoye duniana ni banaya tatentuke famala ye ni ala masabaten tu sinala faroke ya ila banaya do banaya lanayana mansaya wini mana banaya lanayana kanaya wini mana banaya lanayana.
Isn't that nice? I think the thing that amazes me about that when I first heard her music is that people don't realize if you close your eyes, you would think that there was somebody else playing a kora while she's singing, but to keep those two things going on, right, is an amazing feat. And even with the percussionist, if you notice, he had the one hand on one instrument while he's playing congas, and it sounds like two guys. Yeah. And I remember listening to her. You don't miss the instruments that are not there, and the beauty of it is that it's so infectious after a while. I don't know what she's singing about, but it didn't matter. You know what I mean? It was just gorgeous to me and just powerful.
Terence, maybe I know there's some updates to the schedule. I thought maybe want to let people know.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're going to have to reschedule Ravi Coltrane. Yeah, there was a scheduling issue there, and we're also going to have to reschedule Yvonne Lenz. Yeah, but we're not giving up on them. We're definitely going to reschedule them, and when we put them on the schedule, we'll let you know, for sure. But we have a lot of other shows coming up. I mean, we have Jazz in Lincoln Center is going to be here. Take 6 is going to be here. VJR is going to be here. There's so many. Gregory, the list is endless. And I love this, man, because it's like a who's who in jazz. So we have Gregory Porter, Jason Moran, Cecile McLaurin Savant, Kurt Elling, right? Sweet Honey in the Rock, one of my favorites. Yeah, I'm going to be here too. Now, you better show up just for saying that. I'm going to be here with the Turtle Island String Quartet. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have this person that's playing behind us later on tonight. He's going to be here, Marcus Shelby, with his group. We're going to do some Ellington music. I said Jason Moran. We're going to have Michelle Adegio cello back, for sure. And then the collective is going to do something really interesting. They're going to go to the D. Young Museum, and there's an exhibit. It's called About Place. And what we're going to do with them is have them go and experience their art and then create music surrounding their experiences. And I love this with the collect. Thank you. Yeah, give it up for them. Yeah. I love it with the collective because I really feel like those guys have grown into something unique. This last recording that they put together I thought was phenomenal. and I love what they're doing as artists. So I personally can't wait to see what they come up with for this. So we want to thank you guys for coming.
Thank you very much.
We really hope that you had a good time and enjoy the music. Hey everyone, Terence Blanchard here. Thanks for watching this video. If you dug it, be sure to give it a like or leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got lots more videos coming out soon. Last note, if you want to watch some amazing concerts filmed at our venue, head over to our website and check out SF Jazz at Home. Thanks for your support and stay tuned.